The great Bambino once said, "Baseball was, is, and always will be to me the best game in the world." Being considered the best baseball player ever is a very big accomplishment. For many, George Herman Ruth Jr. is the first name that comes to mind when they hear that title, although most people think of one of his many nicknames, Babe Ruth. Born February 6, 1895, he instantly had a challenge in his life. Living in Baltimore, Maryland, he grew up in a poor family. He had 8 siblings, but only him and his sister lived past childhood. What didn't help his situation is that he was a troubled kid. He would throw tomatoes at police and get into fights with other kids. His parents recognized this, so they sent him to the Catholic school St. Mary's Industrial School for Boys. At a young age, Babe Ruth had to accept that he had to face more challenges than most people. He was only 7 years old. At first, he had a rough time there, not making friends right away. However, one of the brothers at the school, Brother Matthias, took a liking for him. It was because of him and the superintendent, Brother Gilbert, that George started to play baseball. Brother Matthias would start spending hours at a time practicing with George. This started to pay off because George quickly became one of the best pitchers at the school. Without Brother Gilbert, George may not have had his success. Brother Gilbert was the one who brought George to Jack Dunn's attention, who was the owner of the minor league team, the Baltimore Orioles. This is where George would start his career. At just 19, he signed his first pro contract with the Baltimore Orioles. Since he wasn't 21 yet, Brother Gilbert had to sign it for him. This taught George independence because at just such a young age, he was alone and he had no one else to guide him. His success happened fast. Before he knew it, he was getting strikeout after strikeout as their new pitcher. The fans quickly started calling him Jack's Babe for Jack Dunn. The nickname stuck, so he would now go by Babe Ruth, as many know him today. 1914 was a big year for Babe Ruth. He got married to Helen Ruth, and he played so well with the Orioles that he got sold to his first professional team, the Boston Red Sox. As I said before, he started his career as a pitcher. He pitched in 4 of his 5 first games with the Red Sox. Unfortunately, since the Red Sox had too many people on their roster, he was sent down to their minor league team, the Providence Grays. In his first season with them, he won the International League pennant. This is basically the semifinals of the league. Due to his success in the minors, he became a regular in the Red Sox lineup. He had an 18-8 record with an ERA of .245 in his first season, and this would be his first World Series appearance of many. In his next season with them, he had a 23-12 record with a 1.75 ERA. A year after that, in 1917, he had another impressive season. He had a 24-13 record and a 2.01 ERA, and he also completed 35 of his 38 starts. Around that time, most pitchers didn't hit and play the field, but it was no surprise when Babe Ruth was hitting for the Boston team. This would eventually attract the attention of the New York Yankees. 1919 would be his last season with the Boston Red Sox. He had 29 home runs and 139 hits, his best season with them. Overall, he had 49 home runs and 342 hits for the Boston team. Along with those impressive hitting stats, he also won 3 World Series with them. In his first year with the Yankees, Babe Ruth changed his role. He was no longer a pitcher, although he did pitch 1 game for them. In that season, he had 54 home runs and 172 hits. The next season, 1921, he pitched 2 games and also won both of them. He had 59 home runs and 204 hits and broke his record from the year before. 1922, he didn't pitch at all, and that was the last time for 9 years he would. He had 35 home runs and 128 hits. It was kind of a slow year for him. In 1923, he had 41 home runs and 205 hits. This year, he also won the MLB MVP. The following season, he topped that with 46 home runs and 200 hits. In 1925, Babe Ruth turned 30 years old. For most athletes, they would start to slow down at this age, but he was just getting started. However, in 1925, he had his worst season for the Yankees. He only had 25 home runs and 104 hits. But for any player, that would still be a great season. Following that disappointing season, Babe Ruth had 47 home runs and 184 hits. During this year also, there was a story about a kid he met in the hospital. While he was there, he promised the kid in the next game he hit a home run for him. And sure enough, the next game he did hit a home run. Babe Ruth had good morals. All throughout his career, he would visit sick kids in the hospital, and this was just one example of how he did that. 1927 would be his best year, not only as a player, but with the Yankees team as a whole. He had 16 home runs this year. This broke his own record, and this record would stand for 39 years. He also had 192 hits. The next few years, he continued to hit 45-plus home runs and have 170-plus hits. And in 1929, he got married to his wife, Claire Merritt. His next season would probably be considered his last season of his greatness, because he started to decline after that. However, he still hit 49 home runs and 186 hits. But in 1931, following that, he had 46 home runs and 199 hits. Babe Ruth had a lot of faith in his abilities, that is. Have you ever heard of his famous called shot? Well, this happened in 1932 during Game 5 of the World Series versus the Chicago Cubs. This would forever go down in history as one of the best hits ever. 1933 and 1934 were kind of slow years for him. He wanted to become a manager and player for the Yankees, however, they kept hiring new managers. So, in 1935, he moved to the Braves, and this would be his last season. He did get to be the manager, but it didn't work out, so he decided to retire. Babe Ruth had purpose. He was self-motivated throughout his whole career. His career spanned from 1914 to 1935. He had 7 World Series titles, 2 All-Star titles, and the 1923 MLB MVP. In 1936, Babe Ruth was inducted into the MLB Hall of Fame. He was one of the first of 5 people to do so. He truly was a survivor. Coming from such a troubled youth, Babe Ruth had to learn to survive on his own, and that is why he had such a great baseball career. For the rest of his life, Babe Ruth stayed around the baseball game, and he continued to be a celebrity around the American people. Unfortunately, Babe Ruth died on August 16, 1948, at the age of 53 years old. Babe Ruth's most famous quote is, "It's hard to beat a person who never gives up." And throughout his life, you will see that he never did give up.